morning and welcome to Today in L.A. That's Laura, Alabama. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr. And on the phone from Grayton Beach, Florida is the legendary Mike Amos Jr. Good morning, Mike. What's going on?
Not much. I was looking at yesterday the SWAC conference, which Arkansas Pine Bluff is in, has decided not to play football in 2020. That got voted on yesterday, so that means Troy will be looking for a new opponent to open the season. So I guess we can try to find some maybe possible matchups
So
today.
is Auburn. Hey, listen, so is Auburn, Mike.
Well, Alabama's talking about playing BYU now to open the season. Of course,
Who dropped Auburn, Steve?
That was one of the SWAC teams.
Oh, you're one of the SWAC teams.
Alcorn State.
Yeah, Alcorn was going to.
Well, there you go. Troy versus Auburn.
Troy
Doesn't-
versus
doesn't
Auburn.
it make perfect
Troy
sense.
versus Auburn.
Larry Blakeney will do the coin toss.
And then people are good, get out of bed. No, it's not true. It's not true, and it is not true right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're just throwing it out. But wouldn't that'd be a heck of a gossip, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think it would be fantastic.
Well, Gus Malzahn and Chip Lindsey have a relationship.
We sure do. Gussie Malzahn.
I will. That's one game I would go try to see. On the Plains. I haven't been back to the Plains since the mountaintop game.
Troy has a new
Would you
superintendent.
finally go ahead and just change over completely to Malzahn if he
That's what I'm going to do. In fact, I'm setting up a meeting soon to go ahead and change over. I want all you folks out there that are ready. Let's change over. Auburn's turning it around like nobody knows. Mike and Malzahn says they're going to win another national championship. What do you think?
It makes sense. I'd be the last family member to be an Alabama fan. It'd be you and Mom and Camille and Rebecca would all be Auburn.
I know, that's right. All Auburn, all Auburn.
A split. Y'all are a split family. God.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Dad and Mom lived in Auburn at one point. Y'all's
Yeah, that's right. No, Auburn Terrace Apartments, no question about it. And the guy up the street that worked at the convenience store was a convenience store clerk up the street. You know who it was?
Mm-mm.
He weighed about 400 pounds at the time.
David Housel.
David Housel, Auburn's top fan ever. David Housel.
He must have been a student there, just.
Exactly. Mike, we got big news out of Charles Henderson High School in the city of Troy. The city of Troy has a new superintendent. Her name is Cynthia Thomas. She is the new superintendent of education.
She was the interim
for
superintendent.
the Troy City Schools.
And they made her permanent. And she's been with Troy City Schools a while. So congratulations to Cynthia, and good luck. Let's all support her.
A big job. At one time, one of the top.
Looked like a popular hire on Facebook last night. I saw a lot of people congratulate her.
Oh yeah, no question about it. And I think she's proven, and you're exactly right. And we're excited about her being there.
Is she related to Willie Thomas, my old principal?
I bet you there's some relationship there. And of course, he was a strong educator in Troy and Pike County for a long time. I will say that Troy City School System is one of the strongest out there, and she can take pride in that, taking over one of the strong city school systems
It produced
in Alabama.
Mike Amos, Michael Amos, all the Amos children, the Amos wife, the Rice boys. How about that?
And if you want to score, you gotta holler, I believe.
All
I
my
believe.
friends I grew up with,
I believe.
it seems like every single one of their kids got a pile of bars now.
Yeah. If you want to score, you got to yell some more. You got to holler, I believe. And when the game is done, da-da-da-da-da-da, you got to holler, I believe.
I never thought about this, but all 5 people in my immediate family graduated from Troy City Schools.
That's
my
right.
Mom, my dad, Rush, me, Bobby. And I guess y'all's family is
And
probably
don't
the same.
you know your mama was a cute young cheerleader? I remember her as a cheerleader, or was she a majorette?
She was a cheerleader.
That's what I thought. And Helen Colley was a cheerleader, wasn't she?
I think so.
Bebe, was she a
Bebe
cheerleader?
was a cheerleader, yeah.
Were they in the same class, your mom and Bebe?
No, Bebe was 2 years younger than Mom.
Name some other people that were in your class now. Let me tell you this.
Mom's friends were Well, you shouldn't start naming names, but it was people like Bitsy Murphy,
Yeah, I remember Bitsy, beautiful girl.
Mimi McKinnon,
Mimi McKinnon.
Carolyn Stewart, Betsy Cockert was about that. Eleanor Herlong.
Yeah, Libby Doty. Was Libby Doty there in there somewhere?
she's
She was
in
a
that
cheerleader,
area.
I think.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. The starting lineups, ladies and gentlemen, this is off the top of my head, the starting lineups for the 1957 South Alabama Conference champions at left end, starting at left end, Herman Lindsay. At right end, Bert Martin. At left tackle, Jim Colley. At right tackle, oh boy, we live right up the street from that center. At center was the great
Buddy Brantley was one of the.
Buddy Brantley was the right guard. And
Columbus Patman.
And Joe Hollis was the left tackle, and the right tackle was Columbus Patman. And the center was Bobby Howard. All right, now this is the class of 1957 now. The South Alabama
graduating class,
yeah,
but
South
57
Alabama
football season.
Yeah, South Alabama Conference champs. The quarterback was Tom Murphy.
The great Tom Murphy. He is in the choir at First
The
Methodist
fullback
Church.
was Big Bill Rice, all 220 pounds of him.
Not then.
The right guard, the right halfback was one of the Dozier twins, Cecil Dozier, and the left running back was Kerry Dozier. That is your starting lineups. Now, how in the world am I supposed to know this now?
And you were how old then?
I was 10 years old, and that was the starting
I think
lineup.
he just named it, folks.
For that team.
That was my dad's senior class football
Jimmy
team.
Floyd was a junior tackle that played a lot, and but that was pretty much your Eugene Shaver, number one, was backup at running back for the coach Sonny Queen's 1957 South Alabama Conference champions.
Y'all were the South Alabama Conference champions, weren't you?
The starting lineup for the 1964 South Alabama Conference champions, coached by Frank Sadler. The center was Perry Green, a junior. The right guard was Mike Amos. The left guard was Bill Price. The left tackle was Big John Pouncey, all 300 pounds even back then. Wayne Qualls was one end, and Jerry Allen was another end. And the right tackle was Charles Ammons. The quarterback was Johnny Teal, legendary Johnny Teal. The running backs were Sonny Williford and Rusty Gibson. And the fullback was Buck Corley. That was your starting lineup for the 1964 South Alabama Conference champions.
And y'all lost in the playoffs in a heartbreaker, right?
No, we didn't have playoffs back then. Didn't have playoffs back then.
That was later when you were a coach.
But that was a good football team. That was Frank Sadler's second team at Charles Henson. The first team just lost one game. Their record was 7-2-1. You didn't have playoffs back then, but can you believe it? 2 South Alabama Conference champions, and I named the starting lineups for both.
You're the only one that
I'm not supposed to be able to do that. I'm not supposed to be able to do that off the top of my head.
You been named the starting champion.
I say every day I'm losing it, but I must not be losing it. You know?
I want to name the starting lineup for the 1986 championship team.
All right, that's going to be hard to do. Whoa.
No, well, I can do it.
All right, yeah, all right, let's do it. All right, let's do it. That'd be fun.
Center was Ross Davis.
Ross Davis.
Right guard was the great Joey Dennison.
Yep.
Right tackle, they split right tackles, was Patrick Johnston. His son has done some work for me. He's in the AC business. Matt, and then Jeff Davis, William Davis's son. So
yeah.
they rotated every other series. Tight end was Kevin Ingles, Kyle's big brother. Let's go over the left guard. That was Big Mac McClellan. You know, there was Little Mac McClellan and Big Mac McClellan. Left tackle, I believe, was Chad Carter. He was a real good football player. He was one of the few junior
big guy too, yeah,
underclassmen that played. Kevin was the tight end. Quarterback was Barry Tucker.
Little Barry Tucker. You couldn't even see him over the people told me that played against him said you couldn't even see him. He was
like Mike Turk. He was really good. Then fullback was Jerry Beverly, star of the team, really, and the leader of the team. The two halfbacks were Mike Lott, hardly ever
big.
carried the ball, but a fantastic blocker. And then the other tailback would probably be Alex White, who was super fast, or in my class, Kenny Smith, who was really, really fast. And that's your offense.
But I hear,
Oh, wait, and then the split end was Kent Anderson.
yeah, good kick returner too. Ken
Yeah.
Anderson was.
So there you go.
All right, that was the starting offensive lineup. You know, back then they played just one way. They played offense
I
and
can name the
defense.
defense. You want me to do it?
All right, starting with the great Willie Collins.
All right, Willie Collins, defensive tackle.
All right,
Jacob Money, a good friend of mine, was
big guy, yeah.
great defensive tackle. John Kelly rotated in there on the
Yes,
the
sir.
defense. He's the late John Kelly, sorry. James Stringer was small, undersized like Ross Davis was, but he was the nose guard, if you could believe it, and super quick.
Quick at the cat.
Defensive end, outside linebacker Michael Thomas, longtime state trooper, fantastic athlete, was also a good baseball player. Other outside linebacker, defensive end, two people that are close to me, the late Charles Bradshaw split, rotated one series. The other series was Emory Ellis.
E.L.S., my next door neighbor.
Was a fantastic
That's her old
linebacker.
boy, Emory.
You go to middle linebacker was Paul Shiver. That is Neil Armstrong's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
He made a ton of tackles. Strong safety was Kenneth Felton, who was Dr. Felton, that was the superintendent's brother.
Yeah, okay.
He was real good. Free safety was Todd Rainey, Jack Rainey's son, and Scott Rainey's brother. One cornerback was Kenny Keith. Bobby
Yes,
Andrews
sir,
also
yeah.
played.
Head football coach down around Dothan.
And then the other cornerback, golly, he was really good. He's a black guy that his name will come to me, but he was good. And his name is
Did Willie Collins have a brother that played too?
he had nope.
Was that big running back later
I
on?
thought Willie Collins' brother coached when I was there. I thought he played on those teams, but damn wrong.
But that defense was stout, led by Willie Collins, really James Stringer, Jacob Money.
Shiver
Michael
was the
Thomas,
key. Shiver
Paul
was one of the
Shiver.
keys. He was the middle linebacker.
Felton was a real aggressive, strong safety.
Yeah.
And dang it, now somebody will call in that other starting cornerback. So I actually ended up getting 99% of them, but his
All right,
name will come to me.
let me see if I'm right about this. I want to say y'all ran a 7-diamond defense, which was very unusual. What you did, you had 6 guys across and a middle linebacker, and Shiver was middle linebacker, and then of course you had 2 corners and 2 safeties. Is that right?
I called it a 6-1. It
Yeah,
was,
6-1, then 6-1.
so it was all across the deep.
That's right.
Paul, everything was funneled to Paul to make the tackles.
And they would
did.
swarm you. They would swarm you. And the team the year before had Buddy Austin.
Yeah.
You remember him? How good he was.
Yeah.
And I always told Coach Jelko, I said, Coach, if you played Buddy Austin both ways, just think how good he'd be. But he was a fullback and was a great player.
I'll name you the underclassmen that played or started, or some of them were co-starters.
This is the 1980s state
So
championship
this class
team.
was almost all seniors. You had Charles Bradshaw and Emory Ellis that rotated at one outside linebacker on defense. You had, that's it. Every other defensive player, if you can believe it, was a senior. On offense, Chad Carter started on the offensive line. Kenny Smith rotated at running back. Let's see, Jeff Davis, Patrick Johnson.
Yeah,
I think I named.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think there were about 2 or 3 players that were juniors or sophomores that played. Everybody else was a senior. That's how you win a state championship, folks.
A team I looked up to a lot, but back in was 2 years older than me, but was quite a team led by a guy named Jerry Rose, who was an outstanding fullback linebacker. The quarterback on that team was Richard Williford, who could fly. The other running back was Joe Dotson, and the other running back was Steve McMillan. Of course, the right
became
end
the
was
CEO
Bob
of,
McGee.
Sarah Lee.
Yeah, that's right. The right end was Bob McGee, and the left end was, oh boy, you might have a problem there. Of course, Charlie Bull Griffin was the left guard, and Pat Talbot was the left tackle. Rip Talbot was a great player, was the right tackle. He could have played in the SEC. Charles Ingram was another guard on that team, and that was a junior. But that was also a very good football team. Jimmy Norman, yes, that Sunny South, Jimmy Norman was a kick returner, running back, wide receiver that could fly. And good football team was that 63 team at Charles Henderson.
Yeah, y'all had some good ones right in that era.
Yeah, no question about it. Played against Glenn McClendon and Pike County High School for the first time in several years. The Brundage and Troy's rivalry started back after several years.
Yeah.
And,
like I said, Frank Fryers told me about some of those games.
That's right, little Frankie Fryer, and of course he was the wide receiver that was so good when Walls played. I coached against Frankie.
He called a ton of passes. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I tell you a guy that a lot of folks didn't realize. Well, there are a lot of folks on those teams, those Pike County teams, were pretty good back then, no question about it.
I've heard a lot of stories about Randy Walls, and we talked about his sisters now taking Britt Thompson's
That's right.
place.
Yes, sir. Linda Walls Faust, and she is the new city clerk for the city of Brundage.
And Randy Walls was the quarterback in the Bama punt.
That's right.
Game.
Against Charles Henderson, Randy was real good between the 20s, but that was it. On teams that I coached. Of course, with a guy named Marvin Barron, one of the all-time greats that ever come through Troy.
I heard a story about, you remember, we've talked about Leroy Cook from Abbeville that Pat Dye recruited. Was a great All-American outside linebacker, defensive end at Alabama. Well, he would play in high school against Brundage.
Yeah, that's right.
They were big rivals, and Randy Walls and Leroy Cook did not like each other, is the story I've heard. And so when Auburn was recruiting Leroy Cook, he said they sent him to Auburn, and that his host was Randy Walls.
Yeah.
And it backfired.
You want us to go on break, sir?
No, I don't know. They were just rivals, I guess. I don't know if they had any real reason.
Can he take it? All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with Today in L.A. right after this. Unreal to start talking
Have you
about
seen an increase in
like
your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson Satisfaction, they really mean it. The Jackson Satisfaction.
You sound louder than you do on the phone. Really clear. We're back.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
If you used to watch the Pappy Talbot morning show, he played this song a lot. Won't go hunting with you, Jake, but I'll go chasing women. That was one of Pappy Talbot's, and he was a legendary Good Morning host on WTVL
Did everybody
radio.
call him Pappy when you would see him on the street?
Pappy, a lot of people call him Pappy. I call him, of course, he coached me in Little League Baseball along with Mr. Jim Tom Norman. Those were two real good baseball coaches. And, of course, his son Rip and Pat were great players.
Well, I'm thinking about great nicknames for people who don't even know the person's real name.
Yeah, let's throw out some.
Like Boy Moats, Hickey Chapman, Tip Colley, people like that.
That's right, exactly.
Growing up, there was Bubba Richburg.
Bubba Richburg. Boy, you made him a star today, Mike.
A lot of Reds,
Yeah, and, of course, there were a lot of... We'll
a lot
throw
of my
those
friends
out.
growing up just called me Amos.
They did.
Isn't that funny how some people go by are called their last name?
Yeah, exactly. I was called Coach for a long time by a lot of people, and it made me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Snapper Lindsay, Ronnie Lindsay's daddy, Runt Lindsay, Ronnie Lindsay.
My mom wrote a column that she would update from time to time where she named everybody that she had a long list of about 70 people. She had them by themes, of people that you really wouldn't know them by their real name. It was funny. That was one of her best things. And then from time, people would give her new ones, new names she'd left off, and so that, the next year she'd update it.
Yeah, Marlon Scooter Dice, but Scooter was from Elba.
But everybody always called him Marlon Scooter Dice, so you knew his real name was Marlon.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Of course, it was great.
Boy Moats, I think in his real name, E.M.
Yeah, Francis Bubba Marriott. They call him Francis Bubba. I would too, but they call me Francis. Would you want to name your...
I grew up with a bunch of different people that were called Trip. That wasn't their real name. They called him Trip, though.
Trip Lindsay.
My friend Trip Walters. Yeah, I think.
Trip Walters, yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
his name, his daddy's name's Sonny.
Yeah, that's right. And
I grew up with a guy in college. I mean, he was my old roommate, Trip Watley.
Yeah, from
His
Dothan.
name was Andy.
Yeah, a lot of nicknames. Of course, we want to mention our sponsors this morning, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. Their dealing. Remember, nobody beats the Premier deal. Nobody. The number you need to know, the hotline for the COVID-19 hotline here in Troy, Alabama, 670-5409. 670-5409. If you have awakened this morning with a fever or shortness of breath, you need to call your local, your primary doctor and set up an appointment, either see him or go on in to the hospital or have someone take you to the hospital if you're not doing well at all. But if you think you have just small, I would say just minimal aches and pains, don't take it as being the virus. Is that right?
Well, for one time they didn't want anybody near the hospital unless they had symptoms, because they were preparing for the hospital being overrun. I bet they've relaxed that now. That if you're not sure or think, or even if you don't have symptoms, come on in. But yeah, one time they weren't going to test you unless you had definite symptoms already.
I was with a guy yesterday, young man yesterday that I've known all his life pretty much. Told me that 6 people in his family have had the.
That's 4 on my street.
And one of those people died, and the other 5 have gone through it and are doing well now.
One of my theories, Mike, is that the virus is extremely contagious. I think it's more contagious than the flu. So that goes to your point that when one person gets it, everybody in the family quickly gets it, right?
Yeah, my wife's going to appreciate you this morning. She said, why is he covering up that pretty red hair? Well, why did they call you Red Rice? Red Rice.
Well, when I was younger, it was more strawberry blonde, and it's getting darker. But you tell Carol that the other day, I got on my computer and I was working and I got absorbed, and then I looked at my watch, Mike. It was 6:30, and I said, "Oh heck!" And so I ran and jumped in the shower, and then I couldn't find the hairbrush. I used my wife's hairbrush. So what did I do? So I put on my 2012 Ron Paul baseball hat and went with it.
You're not supposed to go anywhere.
Yeah, I was a big Ron Paul guy in 2012.
You know, I was looking at cases yesterday. I mean, it's not like it's anything great. They were down to 59,000. You know, for several days it was over 71, 72,000.
That nationwide.
Deaths yesterday are around 400. So, you know, Trump, you know, when all this first started, his task force, you would meet every day, and apparently they're starting that again today. So he'll be live from the White House.
So Trump's going to go back on
all the expert doctors again, trying to tell everybody what to do.
Didn't I read, Michael, that Fauci is going to throw out the first pitch of Major League Baseball?
Yeah, the Washington Nationals New York Yankee game. I guess people won't be there, so you don't have to worry about getting booed.
Well, that should be a lot of fun, and we'll be talking about it. Well, actually, it starts today, doesn't it?
No, Thursday.
Thursday, okay, today is Wednesday. Let me figure out what day.
I'll tell you what, man, any kind of live sports, I'm all about it. I'll become a baseball fan all over
Major League Baseball. Will it be a full slate, Mike? A full slate of Major League Baseball?
60 games, so every game counts. So when you're playing only 60 games,
this surreal,
they got to go out blazing.
Odyssey we've been through for months. It's just a great distraction to have sports, and I have watched just about every stroke in these golf tournaments, you know, the last couple of weeks.
Okay, if you need your face mask today. Now, let me tell you this: if you're going out anywhere outside the premises of your own home, you need to wear this face mask. And let's see if we can stop this thing. This is one of the main things they want you to do.
Well, don't you think is this going to stop
in public places?
2 weeks in Alabama of everybody wearing a mask everywhere they go, basically outside their house.
Yeah. Now, you are not supposed to be able to go to if you don't have a mask on today, you're not supposed to go to the post office or the grocery store. Is that right?
Any public place.
Yeah,
I went in a convenience store the other morning, I had to buy gas on my way to today in L.A., and the clerk, who's super friendly, she wasn't friendly this morning. She said, get your mask, you got to have
Mike,
a mask.
I'm going to put you on hold a minute.
And my mask was on my
Dad, I'm on the computer.
I ran back and got my mask and put it on.
All right, I'm going to call Bird Drugs and see if they'll allow me to come in there and eat without a face mask. I'm going to try that right
You really going to bother them this morning?
Yeah, I'm going to bother them, yeah.
Well, I can. Forrest Lee and I did it the other day, Mike. You told us to go get some breakfast, and
the number you have dialed
has
not been
recognized.
It's a statewide thing, Dad. You got to wear one.
I've got one on. What's that number?
No, I'm talking about when you go into a restaurant.
0101. Let's see what they say at Bird Drugs this morning. They're serving breakfast, delicious breakfast too. And I don't know if the pharmacy is open.
Bird Drugs.
Good morning. Are y'all open for breakfast this morning?
Yes, we are.
Okay, with the best sausage and bacon and ham and toast and grits and eggs and all those trimmings. Is that right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. If I came in there without a face mask, what would y'all do?
Tell you got to have a face mask to come in here.
All right, y'all hear that? To come into Bird Drugs on the square in downtown Troy, one of my favorite places on earth, you got to have a face mask. This is Mike Amos calling from today in L.A. this morning. And
You're live.
I know the food, we're live, and of course the food I know is wonderful at Birds. Have y'all, are y'all set up to have anybody to eat inside, or is it all to go? What's the deal?
Well, you can. We have, because of the distancing, we have like 3 tables. You can eat inside. We have 3 tables, or you can have it to go. Either way.
Okay, me and Bill Rice are going to eat breakfast with you this morning. We'll be back in there around 9:15.
Okay.
And y'all open for what hours? Y'all open today?
We open at 7, and we stop serving at 1, and The deli closes at 2.
All right, now to get a scoop of the best ice cream in town, what's the deadline on that?
Anytime till we leave at 2. You can get it after 1 o'clock.
Exactly.
You can have food.
Yeah,
Do food after 1.
I know y'all have wonderful milkshakes and wonderful hamburgers and all the trimmings. The chicken salad and the tuna salad for lunch is very popular. Now, do y'all have a chocolate malt?
Yes, we add the malt.
All right, now, all right, what's the difference in a chocolate milkshake and a chocolate malt?
Never known that.
We just add malt. I mean, it's malt syrup.
Yeah, I can see my girlfriend back when I was a little young guy. I said, "Look, honey, let's go down to Bird's and drink a malt." Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Have a malt.
So it's a chocolate milkshake, and you just put a little syrup in it on top of it.
Yeah, the malt syrup.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. Now, a lot of people like your chocolate milkshakes are wonderful. I like my chocolate milk with vanilla ice cream and chocolate syrup. Now, some people want their milkshakes with chocolate ice cream and then milk, regular milk.
Oh, yeah.
What do most people order?
Usually just the chocolate. I mean, the chocolate. Yeah.
The chocolate, but I like the chocolate milkshake with vanilla ice cream and chocolate syrup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the way Mr. Watson likes it, too, with the vanilla and the syrup. Okay.
I know a lot of people come through y'all's drugstore every day, and you got to be careful. And if you don't have a face mask on, you can't come in. Do y'all have face masks you can give people?
No, we don't.
You don't. Okay. One other thing, banana splits. Y'all don't make banana splits anymore. Is that right?
That's right. We don't.
Okay, exactly. But your ice cream is good and fresh, and your hamburgers are the best in town, and your chicken salad and your tuna salad and your eggs and your grits and your bacon and your sausage is ready to go. Is that right?
Oh, yes, ready to go.
Take you so much for your time. I appreciate you this morning.
See y'all shortly. Looking
we'll
forward
see you
to
for
it.
breakfast.
All right, see you later.
Bye-bye.
And they got great service. Those ladies take care of you.
Exactly right. Mike Hamilton, are you still on?
All right, let's call Sisters next.
Okay, we're waiting also for Max Howell to call in this morning. We're talking Sisters this morning. Sisters wanted me to make sure that you know that on Wednesdays they have that wonderful spaghetti. And I love spaghetti. Mm-hmm. And every Wednesday you can get spaghetti at Sisters. Of course, you get a well-balanced meal today.
Well, I'm going to take the family to get some spaghetti on Wednesday. They love the kids will eat spaghetti. You know?
That's right, and it is good. And Sister Pat and Geraldine, they're alive and working hard this morning. Of course,
now let me say,
they don't have the buffet.
When you go to Bird's, you don't. If you sit at one of those three tables, of course, you got to take your mask off to eat, but it's safe because you're separated from everybody else.
You know, I was thinking about the Auburn-Troy situation now. I mean, how in the world would that game, if the SEC allows, other games other than just conference only, if they don't go to conference only, how in the world would that game not take place? Because, I mean, you're literally talking about an hour and 15 minutes away.
Right.
I mean, Troy would bus up there in a heartbeat. I mean,
and probably would take less money too.
Who else could they even play that would be that close? Yeah. That's a Division I program.
And if they wanted
a Division I win counts a lot more than a 1AA win.
Plus, it would get a lot of interest in the state. I mean, everybody would be real interested.
And see, Troy would not charge near the money that, say, somebody like Louisiana or.
Auburn can save money on their payout, probably.
Yeah, a lot of times Auburn will have to pay $1.5 million to get a team coming in there.
I'm with Michael. It makes absolutely no sense. Why? Is Auburn and Alabama are afraid they might lose, and Auburn came as close as you can come a couple of years to losing to Jacksonville State. So. But
nobody.
I don't think Auburn should be afraid of playing Troy this year after Troy's year last year, right?
Nobody should look at Troy's defense and say, I fear that defense.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you would want to play against that
Let me just
defense.
say this. If they're competitive at all and they think their program is top-notch, they should not even hesitate to play Troy.
And Troy would be starting a brand new quarterback for the first time against an SEC defense.
Yeah.
Auburn should jump all over this.
Do you know that if that happened, it would be the biggest thing since light bread?
Yeah.
You know, and that's awfully big, light bread, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's big. Light bread.
Right, when you say it's the biggest thing since light bread.
Yeah.
I need to look at South Alabama's schedule and UAB's schedule. They might be a factor in on this.
Yeah,
as well.
I know it exactly. And
but yes, I've been talking about Alabama and Troy, which I guess could happen. You know, you mentioned Brigham Young, but I don't know why Alabama couldn't play Troy unless their stadium's not going to be ready.
If Alabama plays Brigham Young, where would they play them, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know if Brian Jennings is going to be ready.
I guess they're going to try to play them in Texas.
They would play them in Texas. That's great.
Well, I mean, it'd be basically 10 hours from Tuscaloosa and probably about 10 hours from Provo.
Yeah. Want to say good morning to my good friend Jimmy Ramage, the president and CEO, or former president and CEO, and board chairman of the First National Bank of Troy Brundage. It's now Troy Bank and Trust Company. They have merged to make Troy Bank and Trust Company a $1 billion bank, one of the largest banks in Alabama. Can you believe it? Right here in Troy.
It's always been so well run, and so yeah, you know, I kind of can believe it. And then Jeff Kirby and his staff have done a tremendous job. You know, they've had such consistency, and they keep bringing on good people. Now the Ramages. They just make smart decisions. Everybody likes working there. You know, it's like a family, and they treat their employees fantastic. Yeah. So,
and for you people out there, that bank with First National Bank of Brundage for so many of those years, will still be dealing with the same people. I mean, it just has a different name. It's instead of First National
Bank, local people.
Troy Brundage. It's now Troy Bank and Trust Company, one of those strong local banks in Alabama. Listen to this, with 13 banks to choose from, and then also your main branch or your main office right there on Highway 231, and of course, with a beautiful bank. Troy Bank and Trust Company now serving 13.
I bet, isn't it more now that this merger's complete? Don't you get to add the First National Bank?
That'll do it right there. Okay. That'll do it. And,
they had 2 locations.
And see, they had a location, and I'm sure Troy Bank Trust Company's going to love this location on Park Street, don't you think? I would, because you're right there on campus, you know. And,
yeah.
And of course, good morning to all the great folks.
Southern Miss and South Alabama opened the season playing against each other.
Do they really?
That's a high interest game to me.
Oh yeah, that'll be a high interest. That should be a big rivalry.
Yeah,
right
that
there.
should be a huge rivalry. You're right.
When did that happen, Mike? Just recently?
September the 5th is when it was supposed to happen. You know, there's been a lot of talk going on that the football season will be delayed by a couple of weeks, is what I'm hearing.
And I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with that, and I still.
That'll give the numbers. Everybody's so afraid of these numbers, but let's see what happens after wearing mandatory masks for 2 weeks. If the mask prevents the virus, that's the whole idea, right? From spreading.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you expect after 2 weeks of mandatory masks that the number of cases drops big time, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think Saban got on the phone to Governor Ivey and said, "Hey, we got to do an all-mask order in Alabama. Everybody's got to wear a mask."
Might have, yeah.
Don't you think Saban made that call?
Yeah. And of course, this.
Now, what happens if the cases don't drop in 2 weeks after the mask mandate?
Yeah.
Well, we've been wrong on all this. We thought the heat was going to have something to do with slowing down cases, and apparently the heat has nothing to do with the coronavirus.
Well, I'll tell you this mask here is so easy, it's pitiful. I mean, if you can't put this thing on in a hurry, look here, this is it right here. And you go under one ear and the other ear, and then you've got to just straighten it out, and you're ready.
I wonder how many masks are being sold in America.
Boy, somebody's made some money.
My wife has probably spent $100 on Mask-E-Loose.
Well, we spent $14 on 2 cloth masks for the kids. Now, that's something that, it's, you know, we're joking about it, but that's serious to people that don't have any disposable income. And they've got several kids, and now they got to buy masks for, 3 or 4 kids, and plus themselves. It's going to get up to $40-50 a month on your mask expense, if not more than that.
Mike, can
we
you
wanted
give
to
it?
have masks that would match our clothes, so we want to have a mask for every outfit.
Oh yeah, I got you. They will not.
UAB's in huge trouble to start the season. On Thursday night, they were supposed to play New Mexico State, and New Mexico high school football is shut down completely. So I don't know what's going to happen to New Mexico State. They're an independent, so I would imagine that game will probably not take place. And then on the 12th, they're supposed to play Alabama A&M, so we know that game's not going to take place now because they were in the SWAC.
Tell me again what the SWAC is doing?
They're canceling all fall sports.
Oh, okay, all right.
Boy, that's
so
something.
basically, their next game would be at Miami on September 17th.
Yeah.
So
And then
UAB will be playing at Miami.
Yeah.
But their first two games, I don't even think will happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Troys and South Alabamas and UABs, they're going to be really scrambling to get a 10-game schedule.
No question about it. But Troy's wide open now, Mike. Those first few weeks.
Well, you got to think UMass is not going to happen now. Probably Tennessee will not happen. NC State will probably not happen. Yeah, Troy's got to really find some games.
They sure do, and hopefully they can get them at home. George, coming into this
it'd be
season.
interesting to see how many games you'd have to play to be, have a chance to go to a bowl game. Like if you only played 8, like if you won 5 games, went 5-3, would they maybe let you go to a bowl game with 5 wins?
Haven't they said that you can add
a winning record than the 6 wins you normally have to have?
You can add and count a Division I AA victory. I think this year they have made that.
You can count them twice.
So Troy, why can't Troy play Jacksonville State or North Alabama?
I've heard that there's some of that in the works. We're waiting for Max Howell to call in, and he's a little bit off the.
Well, is he calling?
Max usually calls in on Wednesday, though.
Today is Thursday. Tuesday. What day? What is today?
No, every day is Saturday.
No, he calls in on Wednesday.
Yesterday was Monday, and today's Tuesday.
Yeah. Let's see what Johnny Williams has got to say. We'll be right. Let's see what he's got to say.
You want to take a commercial break?
No, wow. You just stay right where you are. Might wake him up, but I don't think he'll have any problem with it. All right, here we go. Surely it's going to ring.
This is former Troy Athletic Director, former Alabama.
Well, it's as good authority as you'll find anywhere is Johnny Williams.
Former Troy
I'm sure he'd like me, though. He was sleepy this morning. But we'll find out some things.
Maybe he can call us back.
Yes.
Hello, Mike.
Yeah, Johnny, did I wake you up? I'm sure I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did wake me up.
Johnny Williams, ladies and gentlemen, coming from, are you in Montgomery or Tuscaloosa?
Well, right now I'm in Tuscaloosa.
Right now he's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and of course a lot's going on, Johnny. What can you tell us, Johnny? Will we play football, or do you know?
Well, it looks like some schools will play. I think a lot of your Power 5 schools are working hard to get in some kind of season this fall. And, of course, there's already been about 5 or 6 conferences already announced they will not play this fall. Yesterday, the SWAC, which Alabama State's a member of, announced they would forego the fall and try to start up in the spring with a 7-game schedule. And so I think in the next 2 weeks, you'll see all the conferences come out with a statement on what their intent is for this coming season.
Yeah. You know, Troy's non-conferences, of course, is pretty much set scheduled, but the 4 games non-conference look like all 4 of them are going to not take place. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks that way. Of course, the Atlantic Coast Conference, which has not announced yet if they're going to play a conference on their schedule, what they're going to do. I know it's a huge game for Troy with North Carolina State coming to Troy. I think is it Arkansas Pine Bluff, the other team, which announced yesterday they would not be playing, but they've lost that game for sure. So, yeah, it's a very unusual year, and it's sad for the student athletes and the fans. It's something who, this time last year, who in the world would have believed we would that deal with Chess not having college football or fall sports.
asterisk will read before BV. This game was played BV before the virus.
Right. Yeah.
There's a big asterisk.
Well, Johnny, we already talked about it. Arkansas Pine Bluffs in the SWAC, Alcorn State's in the SWAC. Those were the two opening opponents for Troy and Auburn. As AD at Troy all those years, do you think there's ever a chance that Auburn would play Troy in this unique situation?
Well, it had to start with a phone call. You got to call and tell them you're available to play.
I think the governor of the state of Alabama ought to get on the phone and say, you will play Troy.
Well, that's you don't want to keep politics out of it, but that's something that you have to lobby those kind of games. I know that it's something that it's a double-edged a double-edged deal. I know when I was athletic director, I had to wrestle with that because you start playing every day and every year or so, and Troy starts winning. There's a lot of Auburn fans when we pull the Troy anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
There's two ways of looking at it.
Well, one thing I see, Johnny, is that they wouldn't have to pay Troy as much as they do all these other schools. Normally Auburn plays $1.5 million. They probably could get Troy for $500,000. What do you think?
Well, they just have to negotiate it out. The athletic director, of course, there's a lot of teams with games. I saw where BYU had 5 games open, so who knows?
So we might end up going to Provo. Is that right?
Well, I don't know. I just said what I saw. Alabama looks like they're going to sign up BYU, and I'm sure there's a lot of teams in the Mountain West, a lot of teams in the in the MAC that lost a lot of football teams. So, there's a lot of teams out there.
Yeah, exactly right. Mike Amos is on Boom TV this morning, and we're calling from our studio on South Grundy Street in Troy. We're talking to Johnny Williams, and Johnny, of course, a wonderful athletic director here for so many years and coach, and I know you still have to think about your great days in Troy. But one of the things that I think we've got to be concerned with is whether or not and when these kids will start to school. Isn't there a rule that they've got to start to school before they can play a football game? Is that right?
Well, they've got to be registered. They've got to be, I guess there's probably not a rule. They have to be engaged in classes. That's correct. Now, looks like there's going to be a early exodus this year. A lot of universities are going to end at Thanksgiving. They're not going to go all the way in December, so there's not you have to have classes grades to move forward. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. But there is a lot of schools moving the calendars around. There's a lot of folks going off campus. Staying off campus, not having to be on campus for their classes, doing it all online. So you're going to get hodgepodge, but there's a lot of flexibility, I'm sure, at the NCAA level to help these student athletes, mitigate themselves through this crisis we're going through.
Johnny, it doesn't look like it's going to be any room for marching bands. It doesn't look like it's going to be. There's a very good chance there won't be anybody in the stands when we play our first game. Is that right?
Well, I don't know. I anticipate seeing fans, probably maybe 25%. As far as marching bands, you've got a huge issue. If it's a home game, it's one thing. You put them in the grandstands and march them in 6 foot apart. But the problem comes when you play at halftime or you put them on the field and they march off the field and all congregate on the sideline. It really kills you.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So that's one main reason I don't want fans to play halftime shows.
So if they're going to be there, they're going to have to be at least 6 feet apart. Is that right?
That's correct. They've got to maintain 6 foot separation.
Yeah.
When another problem, you put 6 foot separation in where they set the grandstands. They're going to take a huge section of the stadium. But the majority of looks like they're not going to let their marching bands march during the game.
Yeah. Well, it makes me feel good to know that they'll let them exist, this year. I love to hear that music. And
why would they exist if they're can't perform at games?
Well, they will be able to be in the stands 6 feet apart.
Oh, I got you. So so they just wouldn't march.
They would do that. And here's another problem you got. You take 400 members of the band and put them on buses to go to a game.
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to work.
That's almost like kissing each other. Is that right?
Yeah, too close together.
Yeah, I know. I got you.
Well, you know what? When they're practicing, you going to tell me that they're not going to get within 1 or 2 feet of each other when they're practicing, or would they even practice? Or
they might not practice.
That's why I think they're not going to have marching bands. I just don't see how that's going to work. I mean, I'll say this. I know that the ESPN Bowl games, which is 16 of them, we've been asked to ask the universities not to bring their bands. There's just too many problems with bands to keep them separated, and so it's a sad part of this.
So that's for your bowl game or what?
Mm-hmm.
That's for all the bowl games.
Yeah. Of course, Johnny Williams is the executive director of the Camellia Bowl, and also, is that right? And of course, excuse me?
FCS kickoff game on August 29th. They got Austin Peay playing Central Arkansas in Montgomery.
Is that game going to happen? Is that going to happen?
Well, yeah, so right now we're still on track, but the both presidents, both leagues are meeting next week to decide the future about fall sports at their university. So that's what I mean. There's still a lot of comps that haven't decided yet. So
yeah. Now your new.
I'd say it's 50-50.
And then of course your new bowl game out of Myrtle Beach, called the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Is it still on?
It's still on as of right now for December. So there's as of right now there's only been one bowl game canceled moving forward, and that's the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta. Televised on ABC. That's the MEAC SWAC Championship.
Yeah, I got you.
Both leagues canceled their seasons, so that game will not happen this coming December. And also, they canceled the MEAC SWAC Challenge, which was a Labor Day game between the two leagues, played at Georgia Stadium, the old Atlanta Braves.
I got you. Well, this is great information. Of course, Johnny Williams, long-time coach and AD and administrator of the Camellia Bowl. And the Camellia Bowl right there in Montgomery has really been very successful, Johnny, and you are one of the reasons for being successful. I hear ESPN loves that bowl game.
Well, it's been a good fit. Sun Belt plays the back in Conference USA, and these schools, like we've had Middle Tennessee, we've had Appalachian State a couple of times. We've had some great teams. For both to be successful, it needs to be accessible for the fans. So the closer fans are to a bowl, the more likely they are to go to it. And that's why Montgomery's geographical location, kind of being in the middle of the Sun Belt, has really helped it grow. And so really, we've had great teams. People think there's too many bowls, but we've had years where we had teams in our bowl that had 9 and 10 wins. So those teams definitely deserve to go to a bowl game. So we're excited about that bowl, and it just signed a new contract for 6 more years in Montgomery. So
all right,
more great games in the years to come.
Johnny, everybody says that ESPN has a lot to do with college football and will they be making many of these decisions on whether or not a team will play?
No, they don't make decisions about who's going to play. ESPN, there are 10 conferences in the FBS, and ESPN has contracts with all 10. So they're definitely the gorilla in the room as far as broadcasting all the football games. And I think there's 5 different networks ESPN is bonded to televising now. So although they do have some concerns,
we're on the air.
There's concerns about playing all the games in spring. You've still got other contracts with college basketball, you got college softball, you've got the Major League Baseball starting back up again. There's just so much already broadcast in the spring with golf. You throw all those football games and soccer games, volleyball championships on top of it. It gets to be diluted. There's just not so many hours in a day, broadcast.
No question about it. Johnny, will we be hearing? Of course, the virus is not going away. When do you think we might know something on the status of football being played?
Well, I think the SEC is going to announce by August 1st. They've got, if they are going to play these games, they've got to ship out their tickets. There's a lot of scheduling that's got to happen as far as, I'll give you an example. There's a company called DD Sports. They're out of Pittsburgh, and they do all the instant replay for all college games in the United States. Well, they're doing our game on the FCS kickoff, and I'm talking to the owner of that company. That he is ecstatic because he doesn't know, they got to, who's playing, who's not playing. He's got to get set up, got to get the equipment there. He's got to have technicians there to actually run the equipment that does the instant replay. It feeds off the TV camera. So that's just one piece of it. And he's got an August 1st deadline. He's got to launch to put all this in place. And, just ordering stuff for the, you start talking about bringing these crowds together, just ordering and managing the concessions. It's soccer, you put all, there's just so many things that have to happen to get the officials assigned and so they can get their travel locked down. So August 1st is kind of a drop-dead date. It should go, I think, 5 in, which is actually Saturday week.
That's right. That's not long.
So we've got you still got the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 that we believe those sources are saying are trying to work together. A lot of the games they've already playing, keep those games on the book, like Florida State, Clemson, South Carolina. So you've got some games out there that Georgia Tech, these schools, the traditional games, would love to keep those games. And the headache has been over testing and making sure schools all have the same type of testing. There's a lot of different tests you can buy out there. Some of them give results in, a few hours. Some of them, it's been taking several days. Yeah. I've heard scenarios where some schools are giving their athletes tests and taking as much as 15 days to get the results back.
Yeah.
And there's so many tests. There's people, we're testing 500,000, 800,000 people a day. Labs aren't able to turn those tests around and give results. So,
I was telling the folks the other day, Johnny, I was at UAB Hospital, which a lot of people go in and out. They got a guy at the entranceway that's got a little thing that hits your forehead, and it tells you immediately what your fever is. I would think that if you like, let's just say your fever was 102, and that was your maximum.
100.2.
100.2. That would be your maximum high. If you've got a fever, you don't get to go in the stadium, and if you don't have the fever, you can go into the stadium.
Well, that's currently happening at Disney World. They test you, and also flying on an airplane. I flew a few weeks ago. They check your temperature as they scan your ticket. They check your temperature, and if it's 100 or higher, you're not allowed to get on that plane. That's going to be quite common. They were actually installing thermometers above the check-in in Atlanta. That as you walked in, it would automatically check your temperature, body temperature, like they're looking in your luggage.
And it's point blank. I mean, if you've got a fever, they're not going to let you in. Is that right?
That's correct. They were turning people around if you had 100 on a temperature, so you couldn't get on that plane till your temperature went down. So that's definitely happened. Like I said, Disney is already doing that at all their theme parks. There's Central Arkansas is doing that with their athletes. They tested their temperatures before they're allowed to go to practice.
Johnny, let me ask you, interrupting How much does it cost to do these tests for the universities and the athletic departments? Does it vary, or I mean, there's an expense involved, right? And then how often do you test them several times a week, don't you?
Well, the NBA is tested every day. I think the SEC is going to test every day. These tests I've heard run anywhere from $47 to $100 a piece. So that's why a lot of schools aren't getting played by big schools. There's some schools out there that just can't afford that. You start doing it now. The NCAA came out this week with a requirement that you're going to play football this fall. You have to test at least one time 72 hours prior to the game. The results. Now, there was a test approved, I was told, by a conference commissioner that's been approved about 2 weeks ago that they hope really gets the ability to get put out to people to buy it quick. It actually tests, and they'll have the results in 15 minutes. Because some of the protocol, I give you like some of the major colleges, if they're able to buy that test, what they're proposing to do is every player is tested at least 3 hours before the game. So if you test positive 3 hours before the game, then you're not allowed to play.
That means your quarterback, so your starting quarterback could be ineligible. Is that right?
That's correct. And one of the other problems you have too now, this is why it's not easy. Let's just say your quarterback tests positive. Well, you know, he's been practicing all week with the offense. That's 11 players. Technically, supposed to take 10 days to be quarantined.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why these schools, conferences, are not good to play, but conference schedules 7 or 8 or 9 games because they want weeks in between if the team needs to cancel and give some space in between their games.
That's Johnny is.
You know
he's the go-to source on this topic right here. You ought to be on ESPN's national shows talking about it.
He's as good as you're going to get. But let me tell you this, Johnny. You know what you just alleviated? Shame on you. The football huddle. There will not be a football huddle.
Well, I know. But look, the rules are if you're in close proximity, well, you know you have meetings with these players. They eat together. They're dorm together. I got a friend of mine coaching in Indiana, and he said they brought their players back. They're not letting them stay in the dorm. They've rented out across their practice field. There was a Hampton Inn. They rented the whole hotel, and that's where they're feeding them and testing them and doing it all at the hotel.
At the University of Indiana.
Yeah, the money these schools are putting in this is just off the chart.
Well, you just said $40 a test. Some of these tests times 100 players if you count the walk-ons. Well, that's a $4,000 a test session, and if they do that 3 times a week, that's $12,000 a week.
You know, and also the coaches, all the managers, all the trainers, all those people got to be tested.
More than that.
Johnny,
here's the scary part, guys. And this is something that's probably going to happen this fall. It's really, this is my prediction here. You know, you got all the youth playing. They're 18 to 22, 23 years old. All these colleges, they're strong. They're in the best conditions humanly possible, most of them. But a lot of these coaches, especially a lot of the major universities, are 50, 60 years old. Their coaches still coaches are 70 years old. These guys like me and Mike, if we catch this and get sick, that don't really much for us to die. You realize what the ramification of that's going to be around the country. That's when you'll see it all shut down, and it's going to really change sports as we know it, as we move forward on how we, move forward. Because even after we get the vaccine, the scary thing I'm hearing, there are probably 40 to 50% of people will not take the vaccine or scared of it.
Oh, yeah.
How do we solve that?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people are afraid of the flu shot. A lot of people. Bill Rice, have you got a flu shot?
No, I don't take them.
So you don't take them?
Well, let me ask you this. Did the flu shot work this year, or did it work 2 years ago? 45 million people had the flu, and 60%
depends
had
on what kind of strain it is. It depends.
It's a guess on the
You're right. Most of them, because it changes. They have to start developing a year in advance, and sometimes the strain changes, and it's not as bad as. But I agree. There's just a lot of. It's not 100% on all this. What I'm saying, there's a lot of issues that still got to be overcome, and so That's why I've always recommended at the very beginning, we've got to figure out a way to work with this, to survive with it. Just shut down is not going to solve it because it's not going away. It's scary. It's a serious deal. You got to wear a mask. You got to learn to social distance, stay away from folks. If there's a guy walking down the road, his skin was falling off with what's that disease that had the Bible? Got plague, something.
The bubonic plague.
No, not the plague.
Oh, you know this.
The worst deal we've had, virus we had before this one.
Well, there's
Spanish
SARS
flu.
and MARS and the Chinese flu.
No, you were talking.
Spanish flu.
Anyway, if you know a person had something, and you instantly knew, if I got that outside, I promise you everybody stay away from it. It's just a hidden disease. You don't know who's got it.
That's right.
And they don't even know the symptoms. That's what's scary about it. It's every state in this country is seeing an escalation in and I think we're still going to learn some things about it. We still don't know yet. And one of the things I'm going to predict too, that it is killed by sunshine. That's already been proven. We've got plenty of sunshine going on, and we've got the largest spike ever in the last 2 days in Alabama we've ever had. I'm predicting it's going through air conditioning systems, ventilation systems, people sitting in cool spots together. It's bringing us together like cold weather does. Cold weather brings people together in the wintertime. That's why everybody catches the flu, because they're still with the cold. But I think the air conditioning systems, like Legionnaire's disease, was finally discovered to be an air conditioned illness that was falling through hotels, So I just don't think you need to congregate other people. So football is not a safe field to do.
But let me just say this, Johnny, and I really believe this. I don't necessarily have to go and be in the stadium. I would like to see football still be played, and I can watch it outside on a giant screen and having a good time and not go into the stadium.
You're saying that Troy played Auburn, you would not find a way to be in that stadium.
But better than nothing. What I'm saying, better than nothing, I'd just soon stay outside and watch the game on a giant screen. And I think that's where it could happen, Johnny, at the worst.
But would you social distance while you're tailgating with your friends?
Yeah.
You would be.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
If your age, or my age, and if you got any kind of underlying condition, you got to be smart enough to know if you don't need to get around a crowd. And there's a lot of people like that. There's young people that it may not hurt. So I agree with you. People go out to make an individual choice. And think about a mask. The mask keeps me from getting it from you. It doesn't stop you from getting it. It keeps if you're coughing or whatever, that's what masks are about. So we just got to get everybody to start wearing masks. That will help a little bit.
There's no question about it. I talked to my doctor yesterday from Birmingham. We had in fact, what we did, we had a call deal for me to talk to my diabetic doctor. And the thing he said more than 10 times, he says, "Are you being smart? Are you being smart? Are you staying in? Are you going anywhere?" He said, once you go the wrong place, then you've got the virus.
Right. That's what it means. We've all got to have individual strategies. Who you are, what you are. You got to know who you are, what you're capable of being around, and if it's not safe in a movie theater, you don't need to go to the movie. You know what I'm saying?
But another thing, though, these masks have got to be available, Johnny. A lot of people don't know where to buy them or what to get them. This country needs to make a bunch of face masks and give them away.
That's a good point. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Some stuff.
Dad, if you get online, there's like 1,000 people advertising mask sales right now.
Yeah.
You can get a mask anywhere.
I think Dollar General carries a lot of it too.
I got 50 in the mail yesterday. You're right.
The Pac-12.
Dollar General is giving them away. That's great.
They're not giving them away. We are in a capitalist country, I believe.
Johnny, didn't you say they were giving them away?
No, I said they seem to have an abundance.
Oh, okay.
They're probably at the lowest price that you can get, probably.
You know, the Pac-12, I was reading an article, their players are threatening to boycott the season if they're not paid to play this season. So you're also running into that as well, that a lot of guys are seeing this as a way to make money while they're in college. So basically,
don't they understand these athletic departments are already sinking in red ink right now?
I mean, I guess they want some of this television money. That's the only thing I can think of.
Johnny, let me ask you this, and I know you're looking at everything. Basketball, is this going to mess basketball up? It shouldn't really have an effect on basketball as much. What do you think?
Oh,
it's indoors.
I think basketball will not start till January. Yeah, it normally starts the middle of November.
Which that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to push it back, which will be the least shorten the season. Or move the Final Four out of April, maybe to May. There's some, I think all that's all to be TBA, to be determined. But yeah, your fall sports have been pushed back now, so that's going to change. And and we had Michael touched on a little bit there, but the financial implications of this as we move forward, as contracts get renegotiated, coaches' contracts get renegotiated. I mean, we've had an explosion in college athletics the last 20 years. It's just hard to fathom about the growth in college athletics, the spending, and the amount of money that's flowing to colleges. The social mitigation, the people can't go to games, the TV rights aren't going to be as much because you're going to have so much TV at one time now. So I don't know. We're going to see a change in a lot of the budgets, definitely. I know the SEC announced. Well, they did a review this past week about the budget. Alabama was ranked 6th. They had a revenue of $164 million last year. The problem they spent $185 million. They had a $21 million deficit at the University of Alabama athletic program. Now, it's always been all your life. It's not what you make; it's how much do you spend. That's how you get this. Now all of a sudden, where there's a possibility schools in the SEC could lose between, 40 and 50 million this coming year. So it's going to affect every school, from the small schools like Huntington all the way up to Alabama. Sure, I'm sure Troy, with losing those 2 games probably to North Carolina State, and then the Tennessee game now looks like it's in jeopardy. And the money games I know there's some schools in the MAC have lost $2 million. Close to $4 million one school did on game guarantee. That money is vital to these programs to keep all their sports going. I don't think football's going anywhere, or basketball, but it's really going to hurt the smaller sports. Stanford 2 weeks ago dropped 11 programs, dropped 11 sports. Of course, they had 36.
Yeah. Johnny,
a lot of things change.
Yeah, you said this a couple weeks ago when we talked to you that programs are going to be dropped. People might stop. I can see colleges just doing away with athletic programs in the future.
Well, Johnny,
absolutely.
Doesn't it look like, Johnny, to you that it's going to boil down? If you had to guess, when you guess that it's going to just be a conference schedule, they'll play 8 games or 10 games?
10 games.
I do. I think that's where your first step is. And the strange thing, I guess maybe it's a good thing in one regard. I predict we'll probably start seeing football at the end of August, but we'll see football being played all the way through April.
Yeah. And these big schools,
It's free.
Yeah.
These big schools like Alabama and Auburn, some of them play as many as 8 home games. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah.
And those are huge money games, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you both plot out. You get 80 or 90,000, 100,000 people in the game. It's $75 to $125 a pop on some of these games. That's a lot of money.
At last resort, I'd rather to keep college football. I'd just as soon watch it at home or outside the stadium than not watch it at all. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree, but you've got to have fans at some point. It's for the students on campus to participate. It's a lot of universities. You got 25 or 30 universities all about the billions and millions of dollars they're making, but the majority of the programs in this country, it's for the student athletes to have a chance to play the sport, to chooses to be a part of alumni to come back and have a picnic. I mean, there's more schools that way that are really going to struggle for this than the big schools. The big schools will find a way. All the schools around the country are really going to struggle with this. And what I'm afraid of, here's one thing I'm afraid of, having been around a lot of the college administrators, is all of a sudden, and most of them, a lot of these smaller conferences have dropped in their season, the universities are going to struggle overall. It's not just the athletic problem. The universities are going to struggle. Yeah. I read where a lot of, they're anticipating maybe up to 25% decrease in enrollment.
I agree with you, yeah.
The students going to college, well, that's going to affect the bottom line. Well, if all of a sudden you're putting the budget together for next year and you don't have football and sports going on right now, so that's not an expense. You've laid off all your coaches. It's maybe easier for them not to put that back on the books. So you're probably going to see a lot of programs go away over the next couple of years that would a year ago would have been unfathomable that would have happened.
You think about the tax base. Troy and Pike County probably get $1 million every home game. In going through their tax base, and they were going to play 6 home games. So, you're looking at 8, 10, 15, maybe $20 million away from your tax base.
Well, talk about 25% decrease in enrollment. Think about all those students buying meals and spending money in the economy and paying utility bills in Troy. That's 25% of your revenue is gone.
Well, Johnny,
what does NASCAR know? I mean, NASCAR had 20,000 fans the other night. Why can't they do it and other sports can't do it?
Well, they are. You can social distance now. I'll just say this. We have a plan in place for our game that's coming August 29th. What we do, you walk up, you go online, you buy 4 tickets. It puts you in 4 seats. The computer automatically blocks out 6 foot around you, all those seats. It blocks it out, and those cannot be purchased. The next person may want to buy 8 tickets. It'll put those 8 seats together. It'll block out around them. That's why our capacity for the game, it scatters you out through the stadium. You're going to see that at the University of Alabama. All schools are going to do it that way. And it's going to, but what happens, Alabama holds 102,000, but I've heard that the most they'll probably be able to allow in a game is going to be somewhere between 26 and maybe 30,000 people. Yeah. You've lost 75% of your income. NASCAR has done the same thing. They started with 5,000 at Talladega. They had 30,000 up at Bristol. And then this past race in Texas, the state of Texas was allowing 50% at the games, at the race. So they had a lot bigger crowd. Now, here's the test that's going to happen as we move forward. I'm a season ticket holder. I go to the game, and I'm going to claim I got the coronavirus at the game because when I left the game, there was no social distance. I went through the portal, and they were all congregating around me. I went to the bathroom. It was too crowded in the bathroom. And, Judge, I'm filing a suit on Troy University or University of Alabama or NASCAR. I'm filing a lawsuit. I'm suing you because you gave me the virus, because you didn't control the crowd. Now, Alexander Sinara is going to start charging everybody that puts that ball game that wasn't social distance the whole time. We're going to file a suit. So lawyers are going to get involved here. They may not win these suits, but you start having to fight off all these
crazy.
That's why these folks aren't going to play these games. That's why these games are getting canceled.
Let me tell you who the winner is, Johnny. There's a winner, and it's called TV. TV is going to be the winner. Isn't that right?
I mean, the problem we've got as far as studying how to get people in and out of the game safely, people have to cooperate because we can social distance you coming into the event. We'll put lines on the concrete. We'll spread you out. Step forward. We'll take your ticket. You stay 6 foot apart. The problem you got, like we talked about, how do people go to the bathroom during the game? You got to control the portals. And then when the game's over, how do you get people not to leave at one time? We're going to try to ask people to exit by section.
Yeah.
I know Alabama's going to try to do this. They're going to try to say, all right, section N can go now. Well, you know, half these folks don't pay attention.
Oh, God. And half of them are drunk. Half of them are drunk, Johnny.
That's exactly right. So
that's what I hate to say that, but that's the truth.
It's not the social in the race or putting good stands. We get scattered about, and that's the big headache. So we're going to have a lot of people to help us. We're going to have a lot of volunteers standing around trying to encourage people to stay separated. You know, please do not congregate.
Johnny, it will take
But you know, everybody's going to congregate before that game and after that game. I've seen it at graduations. They separate the graduates on the field, and then you look at the pictures, and they're all hugging and immediately before and after.
And then, Johnny, it'll take you 2 hours to get in the game. I don't even know if it's worth it.
It's the hassle to the fans. How many fans are going to say, "Oh, the heck with this"? You know, I'm not going to.
That's why television, closed circuit. We were talking about that the other day. Seemed like somebody would come up with a mastermind of closed circuit or pay-per-view TV.
I think that's the future. What do you think, Johnny? I know they got contracts now, but once those contracts are over.
All right, Johnny.
That's correct. That's correct. TV is a bridge right now. We can watch it, but it's not the same. You know, I have not enjoyed watching the golf with no fans.
Yeah.
You never realize how there's data out there. I mean, I know TV as far as getting your ratings. It's proven if you got a college game or any kind of football game on TV, and you turn it on and there's hardly no fans in the game, most people will not continue to watch it.
Yeah.
But Johnny, I disagree with you. I don't disagree with you much. It didn't bother me one bit that the fans weren't there.
Hey, golf, yeah, it definitely doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You're an exception. You're one that's so passionate for it. But I'm talking about to get your ratings up. The majority of the people, the ratings. But when somebody turns on that TV, and all of a sudden if the crowd's full and they're cheering, and there's a lot of excitement, more people are more likely to watch.
Yeah,
I just think this is the way it works. It's the same way you go into a game. The reason people like to go to Alabama and Auburn games, why? It's so
fellowship.
Yeah, the ambiance, the excitement.
Hugging and kissing.
Well, all these amazing stadiums and soundboards, you can pump in music, you can pump in crowd noise, you can make it seem like there is fans there. So SEC can definitely make it sound like you have noise going on.
Both teams, I think it maybe the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of them, you can buy for like $60. They will put a bobblehead, a big what do you call those?
Bobblehead.
Board cutout of your picture and put it in your seats. Did you see that?
Yeah, they did that in Korea.
Yeah. Well, this is unreal, Johnny. And gosh, man, do we appreciate your time.
Johnny tells you about 8 things that you had never even thought about.
He knows more than most, I'll say that. And we're just so delighted that I got you up out of bed this morning.
And let me say this, Mike, and the reason why is because I have stressed over this the last 3 or 4 or 5 months. You know, it's my living.
I know it is, yeah.
And so it's really stressful, and because, you know, you want people to be safe, and it's been such a wonderful part of our lives, college athletics and sports, and, you know, to see it under attack like it is right now, we're naturally built to be social.
That's right.
That's Bryce was saying. We want to congregate. We want to see our friends. You know, we want to be together. We want to have a good time. We feed off of each other emotionally. Yeah. And you take that away from people, that's why you got this pushback on everything. People can't tell me what to do. I'm going to go do what I want. Yeah. But, you know, we got to be smart with it. We got to
That's right. Be smart.
You know, protect other people, and also, you know, we'll hopefully get the treatment for this. And
the safety of the athletes, I think you made a great point I want to talk about, is that the players are going to be fine. If the players catch the virus, the players are going to be fine. I mean, I have yet to hear of a high school, college, or pro athlete that has died of COVID. But it's the 50, 60, 70-year-old coach and manager and that you're really worried about, right?
That's right. That's who can get it and die from this pretty easily, apparently. So.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Johnny, again, we sure do appreciate this. I hope you'll let us call you again. That was very, very, very informative. And which should I buy some stock in ESPN? Or what
Walt
should
Disney?
I do? Because somebody's going to dominate this TV market.
Well, they currently do. They're the worldwide leader in sports. You know, they own ABC also. But no, I think that if you could pick out the company that comes up with this antivirus, the virus.
Vaccine?
Vaccine first. That's what you want to buy.
You're going to get a vaccine that everybody on the planet has to buy or get, and then they're going to have to get it every year because they say they're going to have to do it every year. So do the math on that.
Well, Oxford University has developed a vaccine. The reports came out yesterday. The first 1,000 people. It created antibodies in a person. It also triggered your white blood cells to attack the virus. So it's the most promising. The United States government, when they felt like this, these people had the right idea. They gave them $1 billion. Trump did. We've already bought 300 billion doses of this, and we just need another 4 or 5 months to make sure it works. And it looks like the United States is going to get 300 million doses of this vaccine. So that's promising. We had foresight enough to get involved with that private study in England. So that's really encouraging news on the news today. You'll get to see when you go home. That's very exciting.
Well, that is good news, Johnny. Gosh, it's good news.
Well, when they announce that there has been a virus that works, I'll make a prediction. The stock market is going to go up by 20% in 1 hour. Watch.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree. Of course, this was just tested on 1,000 people. Starting today, they're going to give to 30,000 people.
Okay. And it was real positive. The results on those 1,000 was real positive?
Oh, yeah, it's been real positive. It's the best yet. The next claim, there's like 600 companies around the world trying to develop a vaccine. So it's a lot of people trying to do. It's like winning the lottery, I imagine. You know?
Exactly right. And of course,
that's a good analogy.
And let me ask you this. I'll tell you right now where my stand is. A life for a game. We'll give up that game for a life. We don't want to lose people's lives.
Yeah. Hey, one thing before the go, we haven't talked about it. It's really the lifeblood of all of this is high school football.
Oh yeah.
High school football. The state of Georgia yesterday voted they're going to move back 2 weeks. But they're going to continue to have a full schedule. They're going to start September the 4th. Now, yesterday, the big news around the country yesterday is the state of California announced they will not have high school football until January.
Oh,
the fall's course.
Yeah. Florida's voting on it today.
I can understand them moving it back. I've said all along, maybe back to January, November.
Yeah, Alabama votes tomorrow. The Central Board will meet tomorrow in Montgomery to decide what the state of Alabama is going to do. So that's 13 states in the country have already moved their high school schedule in some way. So, high schools don't have the resources that most colleges have. So people are real concerned about how they're going to manage through this. But we need high school football to keep on going.
That's right. This should end.
Johnny Williams is brought to us today by Steve Williams Bowling Alley and Arcade.
It's called Shindigs.
Shindigs. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wonderful new market in Tuscaloosa.
It's like a Dave & Buster's, isn't it?
It's on Highway 82, back Boulevard, coming into Tuscaloosa on the left, right across from town forward.
And it's really something else. It's a bowling alley and a lot more.
It's the entertainment. Well, it's the entertainment center. Black light golf, laser tag.
Oh, man.
Room,
yeah, oh, yeah.
Anything that for the kids mostly, or
yeah, no, adults.
Yeah, it's mostly for kids.
That is a great bit. As a parent with 2 small kids, you might have the toughest times in the world, but you are going to spend money on your kids to entertain them.
Well, Johnny, I owe you a big steak. You got one on me next time we see each other.
Well, I got the gout, Mike, so I was taking some.
Oh boy! Well, I tell you what, that is unpleasant.
I'm trying to stay away from. But give me a heads up. I'll take a week off from Red Beach, so I'll be.
All right. Take care, my friend. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Johnny.
And like Bill Rice said just a moment ago, ladies and gentlemen, you don't get any better than that right there as far as knowledge of what's going on.
You just heard it in 45 minutes, 7 or 8 points that you've never heard anybody bring up.
Yeah, laid back. You say you're watching us on TV and we're listening to something on the phone, but what great information it was. But even Johnny and people with it right there at the top of what's going on. still don't know.
Well, let's just pick one thing he talked about, the bands. I mean, he explained how probably you're not going to have bands in stadiums is the bottom line I took. And then if they're not going to be able to go to the football games, do they even have a band program this fall? Do the band students have to go to campus? Or?
All right, Rice, I disagree with you, Rice. Bum, 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 bum.
Okay.
Hey, they're going to sit them in the south end zone, 6 feet apart, and they will not go on the field. They'll play up there.
I know they'll be separated in the stadium, but don't they have to practice and congregate before the game?
No, they don't have to. They don't have to, but as long as they... See, I mean, well, they're 6 feet apart, and see that whole south end zone is it'll fill up that whole.
Well,
south
I agree with that. Yeah,
which will be pretty impressive. To tell you the truth, when you got a 350.
It'll probably be just like the SEC. The Sun Belt will probably work the same way. They'll honor scholarships if kids decide not to play. Same thing with marching bands, I would think.
But if they have to practice these songs, and so would they be able to practice them in a social distancing atmosphere during the week?
Yeah, 6 feet apart. Just
So,
like me and you
I mean,
are.
where would they go and practice where they could stay 6 feet apart?
At the
400
field,
people.
It'd have to be outside, probably. This show is over, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you've enjoyed it today, and we're coming back on again today at 1:30 with a lot of information from this show. We appreciate you very much for having patience with us and trying to get you the kind of information you need about what's going on.
Hey, isn't this replayed at 1:30? So if you tell everybody that if they're interested in this topic and want to hear Johnny Williams' remarks, watch us at 1:30.
And we'll be here again. We appreciate it very much, and of course the services for Ralph Black will be tomorrow at 10 o'clock from the
visitation to Sanford
Green Hills Memorial Park, and then of course this afternoon